So first you look to yourself and go, am I clean or have I been touched by this evil idea? When you find you're clean and don't recognise the guy at all, you look at when they say these guys were embedded, you go, oh, well, I've been deep undercover since then. They don't know about me anymore. They forgot about me. I know they've got it on paper, but I don't come up with red lights anymore when I go through an airport or whatever. Because I don't go through airports anymore because I'm deep undercover. And so this is a philosophy that I come across a lot, is that I'm so far under the radar, they ain't going to catch me. There's so many Muppets like Charlie Veitch around. The common thing I hear these days is that they're coming for Charlie. They're coming for whoever's... I'll just use patriarchal words. It's not that I'm saying this, it's kind of paraphrasing. But they'll come for the weak first. And my beliefs are strong, and I'm sure of myself and all these things, and I know where I'm hiding, and I know they can't find me. I've left false trails here and there all over the place. So they won't find me until it's all over, and hopefully God will have destroyed them, the fundamentalists all keep saying when I get to this point in conversation with them. Because you've got to be pretty fundamental to get to this point in conversation. Doesn't matter what colour skin you think you have. Because, of course, the colour skin we think we have depends on language stuff inside of our brain, because that's how we interpret the light, colours on skin. What we all actually look like outside of our cultural definition in our brain patterns, I don't know. By the way.
So do you think that, let's say, Charlie Veitch, do you think that perhaps there could be an argument for...
send around the lynch mob.
Inadvertently or advertently, what...
Oh yeah. Here, the last thing I was trying to say there...
No, it's fine, it'll be caught.
It's just... when they released all that information, it made all of us look at everyone else and go, are you an infiltrator? Could you be an infiltrator? Made me look back, made people I know look back over our whole life history and go, how long have they been keeping records on every single one of us? And we play through ourselves, cross-referencing through our own memory intelligent systems, how known we might be. And then we wonder, right, well, when are they going to come and get me? And that's down to our ego twist. Which again, Charlie presses a button about the ego twist. He's admitted, you've admitted, I've admitted millions of times. There is an ego twist when you put yourself in this archetypal situation of standing up and being like a person who stands up.
Right.
Which most people immediately interpret as Jesus or Muhammad or whoever. But one of them archetypes, see? So instantly, man, as soon as you say any bit of like, I'm going to talk to a stranger and say what I really feel is true, immediately take that little step in a sitting room or out in the streets like you guys do, or on a stage, really famous. You're immediately put into this psychological bracket. So Charlie's in that bracket, yeah. And anyone who's in that bracket, we tend to mistrust.
But isn't there a wisdom in that? Because according to
Yeah.
what you're saying, you know, perhaps they'll, you know, I don't really like delving into this too much, but perhaps
dig
they'll
deeper then, Danny.
Perhaps they'll leave. Charlie's doing them a good service because he's a magnet for all the people they want to. He's a magnet for all the people that they want to keep tabs on. And what you're saying is that in a way, you're safer. We haven't spoken about it. I think you're safer coming out than you are hiding, because you know, who knows whether you're already known to them or not. Is that what you're saying? Or shouldn't we be concerned about that?
I shouldn't be concerned about it, but it's well worth looking at. Inside out or outside in. Like, Charlie's effect is brilliant, and we grow to love Charlie, and we think, wow, Charlie's our shining knight, which is an apex. And then a few people rumble about Charlie because they're more distrustful than the rest of us, and they start rumbling at some of us. And the Alex Hayes effect, what's his name? Jones effect,
Yeah.
happens to Charlie. And Charlie finds himself receiving an avalanche of heavy criticisms, accusing him of being let's just call it a muppet, or an infiltrator, or a paid employee, or whatever you want to call it. They get blinded by his light, or whatever you want to call it, but it begins to call it into question. Danny goes further into the thing, like David Icke, or your man that was in MI5 or anything else, delves further into it and finds that there's light and darkness in him, that he has the potential to be one of Satan's top lieutenants, but he chooses the light. But he has to go through a Castle Perilous stage, and he's really famous already by now. And a really contentious subject, with people just voting. And they're all gossiping off there in the fourth dimension, everyone's gossiping. Poor Charlie, or David Icke, or me, or you, or any of us, are picking up all these invisible frequencies that we admit we recognise exist. And they're aligned like yes and no votes with a certain sort of polarity about our popularity. Weird stuff, eh? But it does count. It does hit you. Some of us types go into thinking it's all a psychic attack and they're out to get us. Some of us just go, people are confused and I'm confused. It's all really simple. I'm confused. I'm going to sit still until I feel like doing something, and then I'm just going to do what I feel like doing. Probably if you do that, you'll come through it all really fine. But if anywhere along the way, while you're really confused, you get a fight or flight thing, then you'll make mistakes. Then you'll have to seed back through those mistakes later on when you've gotten worse trouble than you were in, and try and figure out where did you start to get the fear and go off in a mad direction. So a few weeks ago, you'd really start thinking, man, Charlie's such a muppet. He must be getting paid to be stupid. He couldn't just be this stupid. Because tactically, to people who are tactical, it just seems non-tactical what he's been doing. To go on ITN and say, I'm going to disrupt the whole thing in England is just lack of awareness. And that's a dichotomy because he's been raising loads of awareness. So you see the pattern of leader rises to the top of movement but is actually an infiltrator. That's why he had no fear, because he had nothing to fear. Gets to top of thing and leads everybody off path. Now that's a pattern we've seen before, and if we see that pattern start to develop with Charlie, we get a bit worried that will this happen to Charlie? Some people jump the gun and assume it's happened to Charlie. In fact, that's what Charlie was at all along, and I think we're already in that phase now. From people I bump into chatting about Charlie, like there's that phase of things with him. He's become like the 80s to some people. Because that's how I interpret how people think anyway, a lot. So it put an effect to us where we all have to look and see what is an infiltrator. Do you have to be paid to be an infiltrator? Or is just believing in the system and not having woken up fully, is that enough to qualify as being an infiltrator? To be employed in any job and not have awoken means that you're a sleeper for the system. And it all gets a bit like the Matrix films. Agent Smith can morph out of any street bum if that street bum isn't enlightened. I think that's probably the best language we've established so far as humanity for describing this thing.
Sorry to interrupt. An infiltrator can also be... surely an infiltrator, in some senses, can also be an unconscious. Well, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about an unconscious infiltrator, and therefore, but that also includes someone like Charlie, or me, or you. And I was so easy to say Charlie, but then, and not include myself, because an infiltrator is simply someone, or is another way of saying someone who is, for want of a better way of describing it, working for the other side. Yeah. And you can work for the other side without being paid, without even being aware, and thinking that you are on the other side, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's what perhaps anybody who cares about where we are going as a human race and wants to be, inverted commas, an activist, has to be aware of and has to be vigilant really, not in the sense of oh, you know, we've got to look around at all times and be frightened that there might be infiltrators, paid infiltrators, but actually be vigilant to, I need to be vigilant to myself. You know, is what I am doing helping or hindering?
I'm listening.
That's all.
Oh, come on.
That's all, folks, and see you next time.